So basically, the 9.1.0 update just came out. They did confirm that it is The Walking Dead. So for people who wanted, The Walking Dead to come, there you go. I mean, it wasn't officially confirmed, but everyone knew it was because of the teasers. They're adding a new item, the Fog Vial, and it basically works just like the other items did in the events, like the fog crystals and stuff like that. But they did say if they're like right in front of you, you'll still be able to see them because it's not as blinding as the fog crystals were. So if someone's right in front of you, you can still see them in there, but it hides scratch marks, it muffles the audio, it hides auras. It's pretty good, and it's going to have several rarities starting at brown rarity, it looks like right here, although we don't have a brown key, but maybe there will be a brown key. And then there's going to be add-ons for the fog vial as well. Keys have been reworked to channel the key to consume one charge and reveal survivor auras for a limited time. When you're a closed hatch, consume one charge to unlock it. And my favorite part is consume one charge to quickly unlock a chest and gain an item of rare rarity or higher. Once a chest has been unlocked with a key, it will be revealed to nearby survivors and can be rummaged by one other survivor to gain an additional item of rare rarity or higher. So basically, it makes it base kit appraisal with a key for your teammates. And opening a chest instantly like that will make it a lot easier to like run chest-based perks, so you don't have to spend as long up opening the keys, because so far the only thing that opens chests faster is pharmacy for the 100% faster chest opening speed. But keys, if you want to open chests faster, you just run keys and then you get it done instantly and you waste less time. So keys will probably see more value for running chest-based builds, which I think is good. And then yeah, they said they can change it so it consumes one charge instead of having it like the overall time it can be used for. Instead, it's like overall time, you just run it till it runs out. Then it's like you have a set amount of uses for it now, so you can always make sure you get the same amount of uses rather than having to charge it till it runs out. Maps. They're doing the same thing with the charge system for maps, and they're making it so you can channel the map to consume one charge and reveal nearby palette and vault auras to yourself. So base kit windows of opportunity. And they also adjusted the effects of individual item rarities and several add-ons. I don't know if that will be more than 2 map rarities, because right now there's only a green and a pink map, so it'd be cool if we got some more map rarities. This is something I've been begging for, because as someone like myself, I like creating several builds that I just swap to whenever I want. And whenever I get a build request, like someone redeems for my build, I have to switch all the perks out in one of my 3 presets, and usually I have all 3 presets used up, because I have like a stealth build, a general aggression build, an aura build, and then I have a totem build, and an exposed build, but I don't have enough to have all of them because there was only 3 slots before. But now there's 7 of them, so I can have all of those. I just listed 5. You can have all of those and then 2 more with 7. And you can even name them, like they named it 12th mode here. So it's really cool. It's the same thing for customizations as well. So there's 7 customization outfits. So if you have an outfit for every occasion, you can even name your outfits for the characters. If you have a loadout for every occasion, you can use that. And then yeah, they let you name them. Keyboard and mouse support for console. That'll be great for you, Monkey. PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S. This is not available in the PTB because obviously you can't play the public test build on Steam. You can't do it on consoles. Custom match improvements. They added hotkeys, inputs to custom game spectating to switch to the killer's perspective so you don't have to cycle through all the survivors. They added spectator hotkeys representing next to player's portrait to improve usability. So I'm assuming you can click on specific survivors and go watch them without having to cycle through it, like I said. They added hotkeys so you can change the input binding for all of that, and it shows the dead icons of survivors. If you're joining as a spectator after getting sacrificed, and the reason for that is if you join after you die, it just shows 2 survivors in the match and it doesn't show any symbols for the other 2 survivors, so it looks like there was only 2 people in the match to begin with. So they're just changing that. Now on to the killer changes. I have read these killer changes and I will say it is too much side grading. These killers are killers that have been in C tier for so long that they just need to become stronger. They just need flat buffs with no nerfs as compensation. The killers that need buffs and nerfs and compensation are a killer like Blight, for example. Maybe you make him 110, but you give him his speed add-ons base kit, something like that, like a nerf but a buff and compensation. These C tier killers like Pig and Knight and Clown, they don't need to be receiving buffs and then nerfs to compensate for it, because it's just gonna keep them in the C tier. If you have a killer in C tier and then you give them a buff that makes them B tier worthy, but then you give them a nerf that brings them back down to C tier, it's just counterproductive. And that's the entire point I'm trying to make. Like these buffs for Clown, this could make him go from C tier to B tier, but the nerf probably makes him drop back down to C tier, so overall the buff did nothing. And I hate when they do that. Okay, for Pyramid Head, increased punishment of the dam's range, which is good. So they're making those add-ons that everyone uses finally base kit. They're also making base kit the trail drawing duration and the trail lifetime. And they decreased Rites of Judgment movement speed. They said this was to reduce his zoning potential, but I feel like it's just going to make him feel really clunky. It depends what the numbers are here. If it's like a few percentages, it's fine, but if it's like 10 or 20% slower, like he's going to feel awful. Especially when you're buffing the Rites of Judgment and the trails and stuff. Nerfing his movement speed while doing it will just make it feel really bad. So I think this change probably isn't needed. I think they could remove this one. The haste and endurance effects the survivors saved from the cage, I think I'm fine with that. It still doesn't activate their DS off the record or unbreakable. And most of the time, when they unhook, you're not even like next to the hook yet, so the haste and endurance will probably have run out by the time you get there anyways, and you still don't have to deal with DS or Dead Hard or anything like that. So he can still tunnel. I just think the zoning is bad. I think you can keep the haste and endurance though. They added input buffering. I don't really know what that means, but maybe it makes it more consistent and feel nicer to use. So you could transition from Punishment of the Damned to Rites of Judgment and begin caging or killing a survivor. And they reworked his add-ons. I'm going to assume they reworked every add-on that wasn't his range ones. Because every add-on, except for the sloppy one. The sloppy add-on was good. But all the other add-ons were absolute dog shit. The range ones and the sloppy one were the only ones I've ever seen any Pyramid Head use. So I'm assuming they reworked all of those, and they probably nerfed the range add-ons to compensate for this buff. Which again is kind of a side grade. Actually, it's been worse in the past. For those of you who don't know the Unknown buff, Unknown was given Vanishing Box, or Vanishing Photo, I think? Vanishing Photo was given base kit, or no, Blurry Photo. I'm sorry, Vanishing Box is the other add-on. They gave him Blurry Photo, 15% base kit, and then they nerfed the add-on to 15%. But the add-on used to be 50%. So them nerfing it to 50%, or to 15%, and giving 15% base kit means he only got 30%. So it was overall a nerf. Even though they gave him base kit 15%, running the base kit with the newly nerfed add-on was still worse than what it was before. And I'm hoping they don't do that in these reworked add-ons. I understand down-tuning them a little bit, but I think the increase should still be able to be stacked with add-ons to be higher than it was before. You know? I don't want them to be like increased it by 1 meter base kit and then they decreased an add-on that was 2 meters extra down to 1 meter. So when you stack the base kit 1 meter and the add-on 1 meter, it's just 2 meters like it was again. I would like to see like increase 1 meter base kit and then the add-on for 2 meters would be 1.5 meters. So overall, if you stack it together, you still get that extra half a meter. So it's still slightly better. Now Clown, this is probably the biggest side grade I've ever seen for Clown. They're increasing movement speed while reloading bottles, so the Smelly Inner Souls add-ons becoming partially base kit. They're decreasing the bottle reload time. These are all good changes. They even buffed the yellow bottles to have increased haste, the distance and speed the smoke spreads, and even faster activation speed. So usually it takes 2 seconds for the yellow to activate. Maybe it'll be 1.5. We don't know the exact numbers yet. They're also adjusting the effects of purple add-ons because they think purple add-ons are too overused compared to the yellows. And so they want to hyper buff the yellows and then nerf the purple, and I understand what they're trying to do. But just simply buffing the yellow bottles would make them be used more. You don't need to nerf the purple bottles just because you want to see yellow bottles getting more value, you know? The purple bottles are fine as is. And when you're looking at a killer that's been C tier since his release. He was even worse before that. This is like what, one or two buffs. This is probably his third buff since release, like a long time ago. Well, he got a rework. He didn't have yellow bottles to begin with, but anyways, you shouldn't be buffing a C tier killer to B tier and then giving them a compensation nerf back down to C tier. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. They already are a weaker killer. They just need to be stronger base kit. They don't need to be getting these side grades. They just need that stronger base kit stuff. They also added the input buffering. Sorry, hold on. They decrease the hindered effect of the purple bottles. That's the bad change. And they also decrease how long the hindered effect lingers after leaving the smoke. So it's a double nerf to the purple bottles, which is going to feel horrible. Absolutely horrible. Because most of the time, it feels like you're required to even run a flask of bleach, which adds 4% hindered to the 15% to make it 19% slower. And even then, it doesn't seem like it's enough. So nerfing it further than that, Clown's going to be in a rough spot, I think. He definitely will not go up a tier. If they want Clown to go up in strength, they just keep these add-ons, or these changes right here, base kit, and then remove all these. Well, you can keep the input buffering, but basically, if the update for Clown was just this, it would be good. If it was just this for Clown, it would be a good update. This downgrades it to be like it's a meh. Knight, they're just making Call to Arms base kit, which increases the maximum path patrol length and the speed at which you do it, so they're increasing the path drawing speed, acceleration, and strafe speed, all that stuff. And they did kind of a nerf to the Assassin and Jailer where their flags spawn quicker, which is kind of weird because the whole rework Knight got in terms of how long it takes to spawn the flags was like the buff that he received, and so now it seems like they're undoing a past buff. So I don't know, it feels a little bit weird. They also made it the Carnifex standard spawn slower, but no one ever chases with the Carnifex. It's mainly for breaking pallets. And then, yeah, they reduced Call to Arms to compensate for the base kit buff, which I see. They also added input buffering. I still don't know what that means, but to each their own, I guess. And then finally, Pig. Pig might be the only one on this list that didn't get a side grade, except for the fact that Knight didn't get a side grade, except they nerfed his add-on. I'm assuming right here they're gonna nerf Pig's add-ons to compensate for the buffs as well. So they gave her increased crouch movement speed. I really like that. I've always felt like I needed to run John's medical file, I believe. It's a brown add-on that increases her speed when crouched by 10%. And the reason that's so good is because her base kit speed is 3.8, so you're slower than survivors, but with that 10%, you become like 4.05 or whatever, so you're still slightly faster than survivors with the add-on. So if you wanted to lose distance while you're crouched, that was base kit Pig. But now, with the medical file, you can run it and then you no longer are slower than survivors. I'm hoping the buff was enough to make it so she's the same speed, if not faster than survivors while crouched, so it's no longer sacrificing distance just to get stealth. They also increase the speed of uncrouching and crouching, and the speed at which the tear radius fades when crouching, so you can kind of stealth up on them a bit easier. They increased the ambush movement speed. There was an add-on that increased her movement speed by 6%, but it came with a big downside of reducing the charge time by 50%, or I think it was 25% or something. So this is just a flat movement speed buff, but I'm going to assume they nerfed the add-on that increased the speed by 6%. So it's still a side grade in terms of the add-ons, but I don't mind because it's a straight up buff because she's getting it base kit, so you don't even need to run the add-ons, so it's hit or miss. And then the input buffering for that too. We got survivor perks here. We don't know anything about these changes. They're just letting us know that they're getting updated or reworked. Any means necessary is getting an update. Appraisal, better together, built to last, deja vu. Deja vu being in here is kind of weird because I feel like it's a very used perk. I love running deja vu, so I don't know why it needs an update. Detective hunch, potential energy, still sight. These are like the other perks are all ones that I definitely could see getting an update. Streetwise getting completely reworked. Very curious to see what that's about. Killer perks updating Dragon's Grip, Franklin's Demise, Hubris, Insidious, reworked over... Okay, yeah, good. Overwhelming Presence, probably the worst perk for Killer. It makes it so survivors in your tear radius consume their item charges faster, and that was just dumb because it required you to be there when they were using their items, and 9 times out of 10 that's not going to be happening because they're just going to be leaving because they know you're coming. So it was just a dumb add or a dumb perk. So we'll see what the rework does. Completely new effect. Maybe it'll be really strong. And then Scourge Hook Hangman's Trick. It was reworked a while back, but the buff was not that good. Well, it buffed the perk from what it was, but it was never that good. It was really good in the PTB, and then they nerfed it because it was too good. So I'm curious if they'll just buff it back to what it was in that PTB. That is the end of it, though. A lot of people are just kind of upset about the side grades because, like I said, you take a C tier killer like Clown, he just needs flat buffs. They should not be nerfing him whatsoever at all. He does not need nerfs. He is unfun to play against. I know people like I 100% agree with that. But objectively, he is still a C tier killer, and he does not need to be receiving any nerfs because he's just not that good. So when you're looking to buff the killer, you need to give them flat buffs to make them stronger, and that's it. They just need to be made stronger and stop there. No need to do like compensation nerfs on top of it, because it's just gonna go from C tier down to B tier, or go from B tier, go up to B tier down to C tier, and then it's the same killer again. If you think about it, you're gonna throw you're gonna throw the yellow bottle, and then you're gonna throw the purple, and you'll get whatever. Maybe the speed that they're buffing for the yellow bottle's haste will be fast enough to make up for the purple bottle nerf, but then it's just gonna be the same thing. Like if they nerf purple bottles hinder by 5%, and then they give that 5% to yellow bottles, you're just gonna have to. It's gonna basically require you to use 2 bottles every time you want to get 1 hit now, and it's just gonna be more work for Clown to get the same outcome, and that feels awful. You have to do more work to get the same outcome. That seems really weird. Everything else seems good. I'm excited. I really like the pig changes. I think those are good. I like the night changes we've been asking forever for Call to Arms base kit. Clown and Pyramid Head, though, they should definitely look into. Clown, I think, yeah, just remove this entire section and the rest of the stuff is good. For Pyramid Head, the only thing that might be an issue is the movement speed, because he'll feel even clunkier than he already does feel. The haste and endurance, though, is a good change. I like that. I think that's good. Everything else, super exciting. I'm excited to test out the new items, the new keys and maps. Really excited that they're doing this as well. We'll see. I guess we'll see the exact numbers tomorrow because this is just kind of like a dev preview. So the exact numbers and changes will be in tomorrow's BTB. But I won't be making a video on the exact numbers. I will just be making a video tomorrow showcasing what's in the PTB. So I'll showcase the new survivors and what their new perks are, and then I'll probably do a match or two playing as the reworked killers to see how they feel. And we'll maybe put it all into one video to make it nice and easy, so you don't have to click through multiple videos to see everything that was